I was in the Ukraine for about 15 months over the course of 2 years. And, I get to do incredible things, work with incredible people, work with disadvantaged youth. And I found while I was there last year, especially when I was really getting into teaching in the dorms with the teen orphans, that they would ask me questions that I couldn't answer, and I really felt like I needed like a deeper knowledge of the Bible, rather than just, growing up in church and knowing things, but I can't tell you why. So when I came home, I actually anticipated going back late summer, but I felt like God was telling me I should stay home for a year. And I planned actually to do seminary through my church at home. And I talked to Kevin and Ann, and I came here to visit, and they were telling me a little bit about what they were doing, and I just thought it was incredible, and that I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to get into the discipleship and leadership and learn more, and it's just been really amazing.
You came here specifically because in the Ukraine you're working in orphanages, but not just with little children, but you're working with teenagers who are going to graduate, right? So what kind of experience have you had with them, and why are you working with that age group?
Well, I found that people are always looking out for the little kids, and a lot of money and a lot of support comes in for them, but the teenagers, once they reach about 16 or 17, they graduate from the orphanage and they go to usually a technical school, and the government will work with them for a little bit and give them a little bit of money, and then they're just pretty much on their own. Excuse me. And anyway, a lot of them, they don't have any moral support. They have nobody to turn to. They usually, they'll spend their little bit of money they get from the government, right away on food and alcohol, and then they have to resort to the streets, criminal activity, prostitution. So, it just really touched my heart, and I really got a burden for them, and so that's where I felt God leading me.
I did read this in one article, that there are more slaves in the world now than there's ever been. And the whole sex slave industry is like absolutely gigantic. And so somebody told me that one of the worst times for women and children being used that way, like as sex slaves, is at things like the Super Bowl. And so we heard some people talking about that. So you're working specifically with these kids to keep them away from, or help them get to know Jesus, not get into alcohol, drugs, crime, and to be taken off as slaves, right?
Yep.
Is slaves a strong word, or does that actually happen?
No, it actually happens a lot in Ukraine, especially the girls. The sex slave trade is really big there. So, yeah, it's a big problem.
And one of the countries right next door to the Ukraine, that's where percentage per head of population most girls and boys are snatched from to go into this industry, is Moldova. And that's pretty much one of the countries very, very close by. And Ukraine is in the top number, the top percentages of countries that do that. So you came here to learn a little bit more about discipleship, which is what we're learning about, right? How to disciple people, how to connect with them, how to help them to really grow and become believers who really practice discipleship. So that's what you're doing, right? So you're in she's our first apprentice, and another word would be intern, I suppose, but apprentice. If you were to leave tomorrow, which hopefully you're not, what one thing would you take away from what you've learned while you've been here the last few months?
Wow, that's really hard to narrow it down to one, but definitely just a sense of understanding community more, and how the church is really supposed to be, and just learning how to really dig into the Word and to know it for myself. That has been incredible, and it's really made the Bible come alive for me, and it's just been really incredible.